23 men are waiting in a Senate meeting room with knives hidden under their togas. The man they are waiting for is the most powerful person in the Roman world. He has conquered Gaul, crossed the Rubicon, won a civil war, and made himself dictator for life. He has been warned not to come today. He has been warned by his wife, by a soothsayer, by a friend who slipped a note into his hand as he walked toward the building. He has not read the note. He walks in. The doors close. What happens in the next few minutes is the most famous political assassination in human history. And the men who carry it out believe genuinely and completely that they are saving Rome. They are wrong. They are about to do something that cannot be undone. And the Rome they are trying to save will be gone within 20 years, replaced by exactly the kind of one-man rule they killed to prevent. By the end of this video, you will understand why the murder of Julius Caesar produced the exact opposite of everything the murderers intended. You will learn why Caesar was stabbed 23 times, and why only one of those wounds actually killed him. You will learn about the man in the crowd whose face made Caesar stop fighting back, and what that moment tells you about the assassination's true emotional center. You will learn what Mark Antony said at Caesar's funeral that destroyed the conspirators without a single sword being drawn. And you will learn why the men who killed Caesar to save the Roman Republic ended up being the last people to see it alive. This is 44 BC, the year the cure killed the patient. To understand the Ides of March, you must understand what Julius Caesar represented to the Roman Republic, and why that representation was so threatening. The Roman Republic has operated with varying degrees of functionality for nearly 5 centuries by 44 BC. Its central principle is the distribution of power. No single man should hold too much of it for too long. Consuls serve 1-year terms. Dictators, in genuine emergencies, serve 6 months. The Senate debates, votes, and theoretically governs collectively. Caesar has bent and broken every one of these rules. In 49 BC, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army, an act of war against the Roman state that triggered a civil war. He defeated his rival Pompey. He made himself dictator for 10 years, then dictator for life. He placed his own image on Roman coins, something no living Roman had ever done. He accepted honors that looked uncomfortably like the honors given to gods. To the senators who oppose him, Caesar is not simply a powerful man. He is an existential threat to the republican system itself, a man whose continued existence means the end of the world they believe in. To the people of Rome, Caesar is something else entirely. The conspiracy against Caesar involves approximately 60 senators at its widest, a remarkable number of people to keep a secret in a city as full of informants as Rome. At its center are 2 men whose presence gives the conspiracy its historical weight. The first is Gaius Cassius Longinus, a skilled military commander, a practical man, motivated primarily by political calculation and personal resentment of Caesar's dominance. The second is Marcus Junius Brutus, and his presence is the key that unlocks everything. Brutus is not simply a senator who opposes Caesar. He is a man Caesar has publicly favored, promoted, and trusted, despite Brutus having fought against Caesar in the Civil War. Caesar pardoned him. Caesar gave him prestigious appointments. There are ancient rumors, probably false, that Caesar was Brutus's actual father. Whatever the truth of that, Brutus's participation in the conspiracy is its moral justification. If even a man Caesar has favored and trusted believes the assassination is necessary for Rome, then it cannot simply be personal ambition driving the plot. It must be principle. Cassius recruits Brutus by appealing to that principle relentlessly, to his family's history of opposing tyranny, to his duty to Rome, to the idea that killing Caesar is an act of liberation rather than murder. Brutus agrees. The conspiracy becomes real. The number of warnings Caesar receives before the Ides of March is almost impossible to explain unless you accept that he knew something was coming and chose, for reasons that remain debated, to ignore it. His wife Calpurnia has a nightmare the night before and begs him not to go to the Senate. Caesar initially agrees to stay home, then is persuaded by the conspirator Decimus Brutus, who tells him it will look weak. A soothsayer named Spurina has warned Caesar weeks earlier to beware the Ides of March. On the morning of March 15th, Caesar passes Spurina in the street and reportedly says, "The Ides of March have come." Spurina replies, "Yes, but they have not yet gone." A senator named Artemidorus hands Caesar a written note listing the names of the conspirators and the details of the plot as he walks toward the theater of Pompey where the Senate is meeting. Caesar takes the note. He does not read it. He is surrounded by people all wanting his attention, and the note remains unread in his hand as he enters the building. Inside, 23 men are waiting. The assassination begins with a distraction. One of the conspirators approaches Caesar on a pretended matter of business, a request about a relative's pardon. As Caesar responds, the man grabs Caesar's toga and pulls it from his shoulder. The signal. The first knife comes from behind. It strikes Caesar in the neck, but does not penetrate deeply. Caesar grabs the arm holding the knife. What follows is chaos. 23 men in a confined space, some of them inexperienced with violence, all trying to strike simultaneously. In the confusion, the conspirators wound each other. The wounds Caesar receives are scattered. Arms, legs, body, struck from multiple angles by men who are as afraid as they are determined. Caesar fights back initially. He uses his toga to cover his face. The ancient sources say this was for dignity, to avoid being seen in an undignified posture as he died. Then he sees Brutus among the attackers. The ancient sources differ on what happens next. Some say Caesar says nothing. Others record the most famous line in the history of assassination, "Et tu, Brute, and you, Brutus?" What all sources agree on is that after seeing Brutus, Caesar stops fighting back. He pulls his toga over his face and falls. The physician Antistius, who examined Caesar's body, concluded that of the 23 stab wounds, only one was fatal, a wound to the chest. This detail is not simply gruesome. It tells you something specific about what happened in that room. 23 stabs by men who wanted him dead, and 22 of them struck wrong, hitting arms, shoulders, legs, the body in places that would wound but not kill. In the panic and chaos of the attack, in the confined space, in the confusion of so many men striking simultaneously, the coordinated assassination of the most powerful man in Rome nearly failed to kill him. The single fatal wound may have been struck by accident. Some ancient sources suggest it was delivered not by one of the primary conspirators, but by one of the others, striking blindly in the chaos. After the attack, the conspirators flee the chamber. Caesar's body lies alone on the floor of the theater of Pompey, at the base of a statue of his rival Pompey. 3 slaves eventually come to carry the body home on a litter. The republic the conspirators have just killed to save is still, for the moment, alive. The conspirators make a critical error in the hours after the assassination. They allow Mark Antony to speak at Caesar's funeral. Antony is Caesar's closest political ally. He is also one of the most skilled public speakers in Rome. The conspirators agree to let him speak on the condition that he does not attack them, and Antony agrees. He keeps his word. He does not attack the conspirators directly. What he does instead is more devastating. He reads Caesar's will to the crowd. Caesar has left money to every Roman citizen. He has left his gardens to the public. He has named his great-nephew Octavian as his heir. Then Antony displays Caesar's toga, torn and blood-stained, holding it up so the crowd can see each of the 23 holes cut by the knives of men the crowd knows by name. The crowd that has gathered for the funeral does not remain a crowd for long. It becomes a mob. The conspirators' houses are attacked. Brutus and Cassius flee Rome that same night. The conspiracy that was supposed to save the Republic has instead ignited the civil war that will end it. What follows the Ides of March is a decade of civil war more destructive than anything Rome has experienced since the wars that made Caesar's career. Brutus and Cassius raise armies in the east. Antony and Octavian raise armies in the west. At the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, the conspirators' forces are defeated. Brutus and Cassius both die. Cassius by suicide, Brutus by suicide on the battlefield after his final defeat. Then Antony and Octavian turn on each other, another civil war. At the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, Octavian defeats Antony. Antony and Cleopatra commit suicide. Octavian, now renamed Augustus, becomes the first emperor of Rome. He rules with absolute power, carefully disguised in republican language for 44 years. The republic the conspirators died to save does not exist. Augustus has built exactly the kind of permanent one-man rule the Ides of March was supposed to prevent. The conspirators killed Caesar to stop a dictator. They produced an emperor. The fundamental error of the conspirators was not tactical. It was analytical. They believed that Caesar was the problem. Remove Caesar, and the Republic could be restored. The institutions were still there: the Senate, the consulship, the laws. All that was needed was to remove the man who was distorting them. What they did not understand, what Caesar himself perhaps understood better than anyone, was that the Republic had already failed before he crossed the Rubicon. The century of violence, corruption, and civil war that preceded 49 BC had destroyed the Republican system from within. Caesar did not break the Republic. He was the symptom of a Republic that had already broken itself. Killing Caesar removed a symptom. It did not cure the disease. And the vacuum left by his death was filled by something worse. Not a single dictator who could be reasoned with or eventually replaced, but 13 years of chaos and civil war, followed by an emperor who learned from Caesar's mistakes and built a system of permanent monarchy so skillfully disguised that Rome took centuries to admit that the Republic was gone. What makes 44 BC remarkable is not the assassination itself. Political murders were common in the late Roman Republic. What makes it remarkable is the completeness of the conspirators' failure. They wanted to preserve the Republic. The Republic ended within 20 years. They wanted to prevent one-man rule. One-man rule became permanent. They killed a man who was offering Rome stability, however illegitimate, and replaced that stability with a decade of civil war that killed hundreds of thousands of people and destroyed what remained of Republican institutions. Brutus is remembered as a man of principle. His principle was real. His judgment was catastrophically wrong. Caesar is remembered as a tyrant. His ambition was real. But the Rome that produced him was already gone before he seized it. And the men who killed him never understood that the thing they were defending had already ceased to exist. The note Artemidorus pressed into Caesar's hand as he walked into the theater of Pompey on the Ides of March listed every conspirator's name. Caesar never read it. The Republic he represented died beside him on that floor. And the men who killed him to save it spent the rest of their lives being hunted by what came next. 44 BC. The year 23 men killed the most powerful person in Rome to save a republic that was already dead, and produced, in trying to prevent a dictator, the conditions for a permanent emperor. If this story made you think, leave a comment. Was Brutus a hero who made a catastrophic mistake, or a man whose principles were real but whose judgment was wrong from the beginning? Subscribe to the Vault of Numbers. Every week, one number, one story history forgot to tell you. The next number in the vault: a king took 300 men to a narrow mountain pass. He knew they would not come back. He went anyway. The vault remains open.